Hello, everyone. Well, it's early morning for me. I set my alarm for an hour ago. It's 5:15. I'm out here on the East Coast. You want me to just get started?
Yeah, if you want to
All
jump
right.
right on in, we're a little early, but that's okay. I think that's okay. We'll fill it in at the end, so we'll be good to go. So if you want to
Well, I'm good
start,
with talking I have a half hour allotted to me, and I often give full day workshops, and the material that I'm covering can be an overview or in depth. So I can help out any way possible, but
perfect.
I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share the desktop, and it's going to look a little bit different when I share because I like I like to share my screen so people can, my whole desktop, so that people can see what it looks like. And I'm going to be talking about different features so that as the professional, sometimes behind the scenes it looks a little bit different than you might be used to, and we're all trying to become, at least with my presentation, I'm trying to empower people to become more comfortable with tech and a little more tech savvy. So today we're going to be talking about 5 free tech features and a new device. And Caitlin did such a wonderful job. I heard probably the last half of it as I was getting ready. But I feel that I've watched a number of the presentations and they've been so high quality and inspiring. I hope this isn't too repetitive, but I'll go ahead and share my perspective of things. As a way of introduction, I'm a speech pathologist and an assistive technology specialist. So I've worked for over 30 years helping people with aphasia. It's always been a primary area of interest for me. But I also help people of all ages. So I work with little preschoolers all the way up to people in their hundreds. And I have a little bit of a different perspective because I'm always on the lookout for different technologies to help different people with a wide range of abilities. And these tech features that I'm going to show you are things that you can work with in many different ways to reach different goals for different people. So as we know, a lot of people with aphasia are not necessarily elderly retired individuals. I've worked with a lot of students who have aphasia and who are in the schools. And I work, just all ages. So I've picked the 5 tech features that I tend to use the most, and I will be sharing with you a new device that I'm very excited about, especially in these difficult times we're living in. So here's my information. Feel free to connect with me in any way. I have a Facebook business page, and I'm pretty active there. And I love to connect with people and help them out. If anyone watching this wants a copy of the slides, you can just take out your phone and text the word aphasia to this number, and you will, in the US, you will automatically be sent a PDF printout of the slides. Anyone else is welcome to contact me to make this happen. All right, now what I'd like to do is show you as I begin how you can use captioning to help people with aphasia follow this better. And I'm not, I think, wait a minute here. Okay, hopefully you can see the CC at the bottom of my screen. I'm not sure if that's going to show up on my screen share or not, but you can, I'm going to select closed captioning, and then I can determine if it shows up at the top or at the bottom, and I can determine the size. So I'm going to pick a medium size, and now let's see if it's going to work. Okay, hopefully you will start seeing the closed captioning. And I think that it works really well. Right now I have it showing up at the bottom of my screen, and I'm going to now show you what it looks like up at the top of the screen. Usually when I give presentations, I have it show up at the top so that everyone can see it. You can also do this in PowerPoint, and if people speak different languages, there's a way to set it up that even though you're speaking in one language, you're able to present with different languages for the captioning. If you're in PowerPoint, it shows up as subtitles when you enable the feature. When you're in Google Slides, it says enable captions. And you won't see it working until you're actually in the presentation mode. So when I'm helping people with aphasia, and in fact, when I'm helping people with all kinds of challenges, we try to be a detective and figure out what kind of problem is it that we want to help someone solve. So that's my dog, Cody. I just love when she cocks her head that way. So I thought it'd be fun to put it on. So, you know, what are we trying to work on? Everyone with aphasia is a little bit different. And so some people are able to understand a lot and just not verbalize. A lot of people are able to speak pretty well, but their auditory comprehension may not be well. So we all know this, and everyone's cognitive and communicative profile is just a little bit different. So it's important to really figure out what we're trying to do. And in these times of isolation, I think that helping people learn about these technologies is even more critically important. So we're dealing with so much isolation, and it's hard to get help. So many of the therapy sessions that are in person have stopped, but it's been amazing to see everything that's popped up online. And in many ways, these groups are more accessible now than ever virtually. And there's a lot that we can do virtually to help people. So I'll be talking about some of those things right now. So today, first, we're going to learn about what's possible. Then we're going to look at lots of different ways to help individuals connect and communicate. And the most important thing is once you feel comfortable with these different features, we need to really think about setting up the environment for success. People with aphasia generally aren't going to be able to take the initiative to set up these technology tools, and they're relying on us, the professionals or family members, to make life easier for them, and they don't even know what to ask for. So we need to be very proactive. And I think Aphasia Access is fantastic. I went to my first conference when it was in Baltimore not too long ago and connected with many of you. And I really believe that the most effective work that we can do to help people to have the best impact is to look at how we can use technology to help them live their life in the way they want to live it, and to be able to participate in activities that are important to them. So I tend not to do too much drill and practice when I'm helping people. My goal is to really set up the different apps and practice programs so that they can practice them by themselves. And when we're together, once we set up all these different technologies, we try to figure out how to best use them to participate in life. So here's my website, innovativespeech.com, and I just want to point out the Let's Chat at the bottom. I would say every day I speak to about 5 people around the world who contact me that need help with just next steps, and it's free. You know, I'll talk to anybody for free and help you get to that next step, whether it's for a family member or if you're a professional, because many of these things are brand new. And there are such veterans of aphasia therapy that don't feel comfortable with technology. And it's my pleasure to help you figure this out. A lot of things get confusing when you see something presented, but your setup might be a little different. So let's talk about universal design. It used to be that to get the latest and greatest technologies, you had to spend a small fortune. I remember when I would spend about $500 to get a touchscreen, or the speech-to-text software like Dragon Naturally Speaking. Back when it started, it was just hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And now these technologies have improved so much, and most of us have different tablets and phones, and we don't realize how helpful they can be to help people with aphasia. So universal design is the approach now that's taken by game designers, by product developers, where they build in the accessibility features proactively so that everyone can take advantage of it. The problem is that a lot of people just don't know how to make it happen, that the accessibility features show up so that the person with aphasia can benefit. So the first tech feature, I'm going to talk about 5, and I know that there have been other presentations that have talked about these things, is using the accessibility features to help with reading. So I sort of crammed 2 features into one here. One is changing the view, and one is using text to speech, so having things read out loud. And every single computer, whether it be a PC or a Mac, every type of tablet and every type of smartphone is able to do this for free. You just have to enable the features. And so sometimes that gets a little confusing. This slide is a little graphic that I came up with that shows you what you need to do to allow your iDevice to read aloud for you. And I think that most people, or I would say the great majority of people that I work with have an iDevice because it's often the easiest to use. And so in order to enable it, what you need to do is, mine is a little bit old, I have to get a new one, but I have 4 kids and these phones are so expensive, although they're coming down in price. And you can do the same thing on your iPad. What you do first is you just go to the settings menu, and so if you go to the settings menu, now in the latest operating versions, accessibility, you used to have to go to general and then accessibility. Now accessibility is right there as one of the first options that you can choose. And you look for spoken content. And then you just press it, and when you see the little green button, that means you've enabled it. And so I like to enable, on the images here, you'll see speak selection. And what it does is that allows you to hold your finger on the device, whether it be a text message or a Facebook response, or you want to read a newspaper aloud, whatever it is you want to do, this is just built in for you. So here, I will just hold it down, and then I'll see a little thing that says speak.
Will leave inner door unlocked.
And it'll just read something to you aloud. So that's something that I've shown some individuals with aphasia and their caregivers, and it makes a world of difference for them. If it's hard to select the exact text that you need, you can just take 2 fingers and swipe down from the top.
No speakable content could be found on the screen.
And if I had an app opened, it would just start reading aloud for you. Okay, and I can, if we have extra time at the end, I can go back and show you specifics about how to enable different content to be read aloud. So if you're not on an iDevice and you're on a computer, you can be on any website and you can go into your Chrome setting or Safari settings and set it up so that it'll read out loud for you. Sometimes you need to add a little something extra. So you can see my whole screen here, and up at the top, I have these are Chrome extensions. And my favorite Chrome extension for all ages to read out loud is this Read and Write for Google. So maybe I'll just go ahead and show this to you. Let's see, all right, since I'm sharing my screen, I can do it this way. Let's say I go to my website here and I want to have it read out loud to us. What we can do is I just select this Read and Write for Google, which is free. All speech pathologists can get a full version of this for free. And for families, what you can do is it'll expire after 30 days. And you can, but this feature is free forever. So if you select this hover mode right here, this is a little mini program within the Chrome extension. Wherever you put your cursor, it'll read.
Innovative speech therapy offers a uniquely effective approach to therapy and
So I'm going to stop that. So I really like the two-tone highlighting, and you can go in and you can also customize the voice and the rate. So it's a fantastic tool to use online or when reading Google Docs aloud, which is what a lot of the schools are using. So I have a number of parents who are helping their students in the schools, and they, if they're trying to help them read something, together they can work on the Google documents, which have become increasingly common. So I hope that wasn't too confusing, but I really like this free tool. It's free for teachers and for educators and therapists. You can go to texthelp.com and learn more about that. I think that this is a tool that maybe others didn't share because it's more popular in the school systems. But TextHelp has a number of really good products that would help people. They're not special products for people with aphasia, but it's something that is just really helpful. Okay, so as we're working on writing and typing, for people with aphasia, there are some tricks that can be used. I think that very often it's hard. I mean, sometimes we can try to write by hand or use a stylus, and if you can handwrite or type, that can be helpful. But often people are unable to write words, but can talk. And so if that's you, then you might want to take advantage of dictation. And so, or you're helping somebody with that. So the free tech feature number 2 is that all devices, phones, tablets, computers, offer free speech to text as an accessibility feature. So whether you're in the Chrome browser or in Microsoft Word or using Edge or Docs, whatever technology you're using, you can, as long as you have a microphone, you can dictate. If you're on an older, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, so let me show you how to do that in Google Docs. And then, because I think that it's just probably the easiest. I set up a lot of families that have aphasia with Google and the Google apps, because then everybody can download them for free on any kind of computer, and you can share specific documents. So if you're working on a Google Doc at home and you get to the doctor's office and you have a list of all your medicines, you can access it from any of your devices, even though you worked on it at your home computer. And you can use what they call voice typing to make that happen, to use the dictation. So I'm going to close out this read write, and I'm just going to show you what a Google Doc is. So if I go to docs.google.com, I can start a new document. You can organize them in folders, which is what I typically do. I think it's important for people with aphasia to have access, to be really organized and always have access to tools, because as we know, a lot of individuals have some, it just helps. A lot of people with aphasia have really good cognitive skills, and they're very savvy with finding the right tools to communicate. Not everybody, but with Google Docs, you can access all these tools to help others understand what you're trying to express. So if I go over here to this menu, there's a toolbar, and I don't have to add anything. It's just right here. It's voice typing. Once I select the microphone, everything is automatically typed that I want to say, period. It's a really great way to practice your speech, period. You could use this as part of speech therapy in creative ways, period. So sometimes there are certain phrases that people just want to practice on their own. You know, and you can go back and use that read and write for Google to have things read aloud, or use a different feature or product. So I could highlight this and listen.
I want to talk better.
And then I can practice repeating it, or I can practice saying it and see if I can make the computer understand what I'm saying. So there are lots of ways to use these tools. So I was already speaking about, people with aphasia have trouble communicating, and it's often easiest in person because we can pick up on all the nonverbal communications and use lots of visual supports. The phone often presents its own a lot of challenges for individuals that aren't able to speak well or to understand. But now that we have smartphones and ways to connect from a distance using video, there are a lot of more ways to help individuals when they can't be in person to communicate. So any of these tools are wonderful supports for communication. And I think many of us think of using these things when we're in person, but we can also share them when we're meeting online using videos. So photos, I know that Caitlin was talking a lot about really creative ways to use photos and create photo albums. I often use the Maps app. If someone can't explain to me where they want to go or where they've been, I'll open up a map on their phone and help them navigate so that they can communicate that message. We use lots of calendars so that individuals with aphasia can be as independent as possible, so you can support the communication by pointing to key items in a calendar as you talk, or you're writing down the key words. I think a lot of us are pretty good with using all of these visual supports. We might not think to use the tech version, but the maps and the calendars and the photos can all be right in the phone and on the computer. And then when we use these video calls and meet online with tools like we're using right now with Zoom, really communication can spring to life. And I know that there are great aphasia groups going on using all of these tools. So you can access FaceTime, Zoom, WhatsApp, Messenger, Skype. All of them now offer free video calling. That if an individual is set up with them, it can be just great. What you might not be as comfortable with is using the Zoom. If you're using Zoom, you can get remote access to more directly interact with somebody or help them. So I use it for providing distance tech support. So if an individual is on a Mac or a PC, I put a link here. You can just Google, how do I use remote access on Zoom? And if we have time, I'll show you. But if anyone is sharing their screen with you, up at the top where it says Joan is sharing her screen, you'll see just to the right, it should say, I think it's options. And you click on that and you can request remote access. And so if you select remote access, and the person who's sharing the screen grants that remote access, the other person can use their mouse or whatever mechanism they use to work on their device to move your computer and work on it. And as long as you're not doing it at the same time, you both have the ability to interact on the same slide or playing a game, or maybe you're helping to enable accessibility features on someone's computer. So it's really a very powerful tool that a lot of speech pathologists are using in speech therapy. And I think it's just fantastic. So I thought what I would do is just show you a way, some games. So a lot of people with aphasia, everyone's isolated and lonely. And so if you can interact with friends or family, or turn it into a therapy task, you can play all kinds of games online. So either the therapist can, if you're using Zoom, the therapist can navigate to a site like toytheater.com is free and fun. And you can have give access to a distance client to be on your computer, or you can go to their computer, or it gets a little tricky, or someone can just go on their own computer, not on Zoom, and go to toytheater.com. And there are all kinds of word search games, and you can play tic-tac-toe. And I mean, it is just loaded with games that have different levels of difficulty, and you can have a lot of fun playing these. It can be a way for someone with aphasia to interact with grandchildren if that's a particular setting. It's just an activity to do. Okay. I've also been using the Amazon's Echo Show quite a lot when I'm helping people get them leverage the benefits out of tech. So you can, a lot of people don't think that you can have free video calls using one of these devices. But I have a situation where an individual is unable to use, lives alone and is unable to use a smartphone or a computer, and she's very isolated and can't have visitors right now. And so the way that we figured out to help her be in touch with the outside world is to use the app. So the family uses the Alexa app on a device, any device. You just download the app, and then as long as that individual is in your contacts and you've set it up, you can say, Alexa, call grandma, if that's how she's listed, and then the Alexa will ring and you can have a video call. So it doesn't have to be just an audio call. And a lot of people don't realize that. You can also do drop-in if it's enabled, where you just can drop in and the individual doesn't have to do anything. You can check in on somebody and you can interact with them as long as that person has given you permission. So I think that for individuals with aphasia, this can be really powerful. And then if you're on one of these devices, you can play all kinds of different games, and also you can have photos, there, picture my two dogs, show up in the background. It's also something that we use to play music, which is great. So in therapy, you know, you could say, Alexa, play classical music, or Alexa, play show tunes, and it's great quality. I'm not going to get into AAC too much, but I just want to say that there are ways that you can use AAC from a distance or just on your devices to help with communication for adults, and more products are becoming appropriate for adults to use with aphasia. But the one that I want to highlight that different organizations are able to get for free if you're in the right kind of setting is this called COVID Speak. And I think it has tremendous potential. It's video supported remote communication, and it really was created for individuals who are alert but unable to talk, so that they could use video, and then there are different ways to select things, select images to communicate. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. All right, different ways to help with understanding. Another way is to use the captions. I didn't realize I turned off my captions, but I'll just keep going. I thought I had them on. What you can do is use this free captioning on all the televisions these days. You can enable captioning, and in Zoom, you have to have somebody typing to have captions, but in the presentation apps, you can use captioning. If you're in slides or PowerPoint, and also in YouTube, if you're watching videos, most of those these days can use captioning. All right, a few more minutes. We have memory and organization. Another tech feature that people might not think to take advantage of is cloud access. So I alluded to Google products before, Google Docs or PDFs you can upload into the cloud and put in Google Drive or Dropbox or Microsoft OneNote. So just a lot of people with aphasia, to help them live life to the fullest, we want to help them get access to a lot of these tools many of us might be using to make life easier. And if they're at a doctor's office and want to, you know, take a picture of something and put it up into the cloud, or download some information, it's just having full-time access to things that's helpful. The new device that I wanted to make sure people knew about is this GrandPad, and it's something that I don't make any money off of any of these things. I just try to share what I learn about and have found effective. This is the Grand Pad, and it's a new product. I think it's been out for about a year. If you go to grandpad.net, you can watch videos about it. You can buy it at Target or at Consumer Cellular, and it's just very easy to use for somebody that can't use an iPad or a smartphone. You can, it's very protected and secure. And so a family member acts as the organizer, and then you can input your contacts, and you can call with audio calls or video calls. You can email. It's just sort of simplified. And there are also, you can listen to music on it. So if I press this, then you can search for the different type of music. And I've had a lot of individuals with aphasia or dementia or dexterity issues, visual issues. It's just pretty easy to use. And then you can listen to music. Let's see if I, okay, so
If only I could make my father understand. I just don't see how a world that makes such wonderful things.
so I could show, you can find a lot of your favorite music or add additional music. There are also lots of games on here that are pretty easy to use. So if you go to the games, make sure you're seeing it here. You can see these different games. So if you play Spider Solitaire, you can always watch a video to learn what to do, and so the whole idea is that you just, play the game. But I have had individuals that when they're playing online games, it just doesn't work for them, but this is pretty, a lot easier to use. I'm just gonna, again, I'll share these slides. I don't have time to go through everything, but there is a way, I just wanna make sure that everyone is taking advantage of the emergency information, that you can use the medical ID within the iOS Health app. That's important. A lot of times when our patients are using telemedicine, there is a way to set up Zoom when there's no login and you just click and use the Zoom feature. Or Doximity.com is a one-click tool that people with aphasia can use if their doctor sets it up that way. I think we need to just keep in mind that it's hard to log in and navigate to certain sites. And so we want them to be able to access information. So again, I spoke about this before, but just using a digital calendar can really help with communication. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many wonderful apps out there and different tech tools that if we use them personally, think about ways that we can use them to help people who have aphasia. So again, anyone that wants a copy of these slides, you can use your phone and just text aphasia to that phone number or email me, and automatically you'll be sent a copy. And I have, I'm always trying to offer different ways to help people figure out tech. So that is listed on my website. And I'm here for you. If there are any questions, happy to take those. I know I'm out of time. I just wanted to be sure to share all the information.